Why I still like Wellington over Wellesley. I still like equity income funds over more conservative funds. I still like Fidelity Balanced or Fidelity Puritan over more conservative funds. And the reason is just because of bonds. All right, so I just got the horn with a client doing our annual review, and she goes, as she's Kathy from Texas, she goes, hey, I just looking at Wellesley, and it seems just be as good as Wellington with less downside risk. It just looks fantastic. I said, no, I get it, man. I get it. The Wellesley has done great. The problem with Wellesley and anything that's predominantly in bonds is the bonds. And if you just look at the history of how bonds work and how bonds will work continue to going forward, is inevitably that bonds are going to underperform relative to what they've done in the past. Now, I don't know if that means underperform relative to stocks. I can't say that, but bonds will certainly underperform relative to their previous returns. It's just that simple. So let's go into this. I'm going to show you, hold on a second. There we go. Daily Treasury yield rates. And we're going to go to Portfolio Visualizer. I'm going to show you a couple of funds. We're going to show you from 2010 to 2021. We got the Vanguard Ginnie Mae and the Vanguard Bond Total Bond Index Fund. And let's see what they've done since 2010. And we'll see here that the, right here, the compounded annual growth rate. And the Ginnie Mae was 3.08 and the total bond was 3.65. All right, so that's what they've averaged each and every year since 2010. So what do? We look at the 10-year treasuries. We're going to look at 10-year treasury on the daily treasury curve rate. And we're going to look at, we're just going to start with actually the Ginnie. Well, we'll start with 10-year just for simplicity. On 1/4/2010, it was 3.85. All right, now we fast forward till the middle of the year because this portfolio visualizer, the last is dated as of what? I think it's, does it tell us the last? I think it's at the end of August, maybe. Yeah, August 31st. All right, good. So August 31st. So we're going to go to the end of July. Right there. 10-year, 2.94. That's on the 10-year treasuries, 2.94. 7-year, 2.3. Ginnie Mae, 3.08. 10-year, 2.94. And we go to the end of August if we need to, 2.47. Ginnie Mae, 3.08. 10-year treasuries on the bond market here. If we go to a little bit of, what's this, a 20-year? What do we got here? 20s. Let's just give you a 20. And this is just government bonds, not corporate bonds. We'll give you 20 years on the government bonds. 3.74. What did the BND do? 3.65. You see the correlation there? Is a huge correlation. And remember, the total bond market's got some corporates in there, but it's predominantly treasuries and government-sponsored enterprises, GSEs. I think like 70% of the total bond market is GSEs or just treasuries outright. The point being is the rate that you're getting today on your bonds is what you're going to get for the next 10 years, essentially, if that makes sense. So if we look at the current 10-year treasuries, which just broke 1.5, by the way. But let's go to current treasuries. Go to 2021. I'm going to wrap this up in a nice clean bow for you guys to understand here in just a second. There we go. And we're going to just take a look at the current treasury rates. And we'll go to right here. 1.47 on the 10-year, 1.94 on the 20-year. Point being is that that's what you can expect, basically 1.5 to 2. It's 1.5 for government bonds, 2 for mostly government with some corporates thrown in there. That's it, man. That's it. That's what you're going to get. So anything that's predominantly in bonds, there's no way it's going to give you more or less. It'll give you just right, unless it goes bankrupt. It'll give you a little bit more, a little bit less on any given year. But over the course of the correlation for 5 to 10, 15 to 20 years, it's like 95%. And I just want to show you something. All right, so we're going to go back to Portfolio Visualizer. You can see on any given year, like here, 2010, 6.96 for Ginnie Mae, 7.89 for Ginnie Mae, 2.35, negative 2.23. So you factor on that as giving us identical to what the 10-year was doing when it started at 2010. Then it went up to 6.55, then went down to 1.3. It went up, went down, went up, is going down again. I can't stress this enough, man. The idea that the bonds are going to give you what we had in the past is just silly. There's no way. It's an inevitability if there ever were one in the markets. Bonds aren't going to give you anything. If we go back to 10-year Treasury yields, I think it starts in 1990. Yeah, 1990. And I mean, just check out what the 10-year Treasury was doing back then, like 8. Yeah, look at that. 7.948, guaranteed, government guaranteed. So you're getting 8% yields. 30 was giving you 8 right there. So you were locking in 1990, 30-year bonds at 8% that just matured. So these, let's go back to 1990. Let's go back to 1991 so you can see what they were doing. In 1991, a 30-year Treasury bond was paying, we'll say, what's the, say is September, we'll go to September, let's say September 24th. All right, so I guess September 20th, it doesn't matter. 7.83, 7.89. Let's say 7.89. September 26th of 1991. We don't. Let's go to September 24th. September 24th of 1991 is paying 7.89. So you bought that bond, lasted for 30 years. You're getting roughly 8% a year on that guy. Guaranteed, no risk. It's a risk-free asset. Fast forward till today. What do you get on that puppy? Remember, basically 7.89. What do you get now? 1.89, 1.99. Don't be swayed by the previous performances of bonds thinking you're going to get that in the future. It's inevitable you won't. You can't. It's impossible. Because no one is going to pay you any value at all for a bond that you bought with a coupon of less than 2, if all of a sudden magically the coupons of new issue bonds jump to 8, your bond is going to basically be worthless. There's just no other way around it. People don't get how bonds work. I wish they would, man. You're not getting any more or less in the coupon. That's all you're getting. But I can sell my bond for a premium. Oh, what are you going to do with the proceeds? If you buy another bond, you're buying another bond for a premium, a bond for a premium. People think they're so smart a lot of times in this regard when it comes to bonds, and the bonds are the most simplest thing there is. A bond is issued at 3% and matures at 3%. The bond can fluctuate in the share price based on what is the yields of the new bonds coming into the market, but at the end of the day, when that bond matures, you're going to get your principal back. That's it. In the interim, somebody was getting a 3% coupon, regardless of the new bonds coming in. It's just that simple. So those 1991 bonds were issued paying 8% each and every year, government guaranteed. Those same bonds, you want to buy another 30 years, paying less than 2 now. Same bonds. And the bonds are selling like hotcakes. You're not getting the same rates of return on bonds. Now, do bonds give you a reprieve from stock? Absolutely. That's why I think Wellington's great, because it gives you a cushion that the S&P 500 doesn't. But you're not getting growth in there. You get 2% if you're lucky. That's not a 30-year bond, by the way. It's just, I tell you, man, that's why I like Wellington. At the end of the day, Wellington will give you the stock market potential of growing dividends, and it still gives you enough of a buffer that you don't freaking puke all over yourself going down a roller coaster when the markets get tanked, because you still got 30%, 35% in fixed income. That's why I like Wellington. All right, we'll see you.